Hi, everyone. Hi. It's Hannah Mason here, Vitality Coach. For those of you in the Hub, it's such a pleasure to be engaging with you. And for those of you on YouTube, make your way into the Hub, into the Vitality Hub on Facebook. We're having an amazing community that's building around vitality and joy and people learning together and striving together. And I'm so excited today to be welcoming Sheryl Giffis. And she's going to be joining us and talking to us about her process of, her journey, but also how she helps people take the unconscious and make it conscious. So without further ado, Sheryl, woohoo, come onto the stage. It's such a pleasure having you.
Oh, thank you so much, Hannah. Thanks for asking me here. It's great.
And I was wondering if you could just share with us, you and I had the opportunity to meet, what is it, like a year ago? Is it more? How long have
Yeah.
you been in Israel?
2.5 years. I'm actually in the States right now. I
Oh, you
know.
are. Got
Yeah.
it. I had no idea. You look like you're around the corner. So there you go.
Oh,
We met
well,
like just when you moved here, correct?
yeah, yeah. I know.
Wow.
But I've seen you after, so I think that's why it's more recently. Yes. Um,
Got it.
but it's funny you say that because one of the things I want to talk about is what I'm calling non-localized living. So we really are like um, everywhere at once, energetically anyway now. So
So what does that mean? Explain to us what that means for those of us who are like not as consciousness woo-woo stuff connected.
well, it's really it's all about this quantum field where we're all living now. I mean, we've always been living in it, but the awareness has just opened up so much. So um, everything is energy and electricity. So we feel connected through a lot of different means. Dream work, you can feel, when you're really close to someone, you can feel them as if they're right with you, and it doesn't matter how many miles divide us. So
Wow.
that phenomenon is just getting more and more real, and I think that's why we're really aware that we're living in this field now, and that's so exciting because I really do believe electricity medicine is the wave of the future. So
So
yeah.
is that kind of like how you and I are talking right now, and it feels like I'm actually really talking to you and like you feel so present, but really you're on the other side of the world? Is that
Well,
kind of like
yeah.
a metaphor for what's actually happening?
Well, it's energetically, I think that's like our vibration is very connected. So, and I think that's like, like attracts like, or vibrational energy attracts itself. So your group and like your living in the vitality zone brings other people in that zone to connect, and it feels good because the vibration is very high. So I think
Whoa.
that's what's happening, you know?
So how does Corona help that bring that about?
Okay, so what two things are happening. Whenever there's enormous darkness, there's also enormous light. So Kabbalah teaches, or Hasidus actually, uh, the mystical side of Torah, teaches that we have two duties this life, two missions. One is to clear darkness, which the world has been very busy doing, but the other is to create light. So this is the time where all this light is coming in and we're actually able to get to our life's work in a very clear and revealed way, much more clear than ever before. So what to me, just on a practical level, it feels like is that everybody's becoming sensitized. Like we can actually feel each other more. So they say, I mean, again, in Kabbalah, that when Mashiach, the Messiah, comes at the end of days, which is the time of our redemption right now, we're coming into, we'll know that we're ascending or we're getting to a different level when we can see the Messiah in each other. Like everybody will reflect us. So everybody is a part of us and we can see ourselves in them. which to me is this process of great sensitization, which is what I feel like we're going through right now. We're really feeling what it's like to feel other people in a very, very deep way.
Which can also mean that we might feel more pain, but that's because we're more sensitive to pain or sensitive to different sensations.
Yeah. Yeah. We're feeling it all, and we're open. Like we're being opened. Our vessels are being really shattered to let in more light, but also more pain. And it's both. I think that's the paradox of being human. We are, the only creatures who can really hold two contrary states of being at the same time, and both are true. Like, it's a really hard time right now, and a lot of pain and suffering, and then also so many openings and opportunities and closeness and connection and new ways of seeing and being in the world.
So can you tell us your story? Because I have just a guess that you growing up in, I don't know, typical America, you weren't born with this kind of mindset. Is that just a guess on my part? Is that a good guess?
I really have been trying to figure this out for a long time. I kind of was. Like, I actually feel like the world has finally caught
up with you.
My existential crisis was at 10 years old.
Well, okay, wait, no. So tell us about your crisis at 10. Tell us about your story.
So I've always felt like an alien growing up, right? So as a kid, I would like look around. I remember sitting in the backseat of my parents' car. And I'd look at at a red light, look at the family, like the car next to me on the left and then the car on the right, and be like, okay, what's going on in their world? Because like what's going on in my world, this can't be it. This can't be like reality. Like, what is reality? What is going on in the world? Like, what's real? I was always like, where is reality? Where is it? It can't be like what we see right in front of us, So I've like always been trying to crack this code of what's going on and where are we and what's really here. So anyway, I always joke that I was a teen mystic. I was trying to leave my body and become non-matter. So, yeah, for a lot of reasons, but that's for another time.
Wow. And so then you had this like whole journey, and tell us a little bit more about what you do now, what your journey has led to today.
Okay, so as part of this teenage time, I was a teenage actress, which is really not the best idea for a young, sensitive girl growing up in Los Angeles. But nonetheless, I was. And I was able to, like, what I learned from that time was really how to live inside of people. Like, I had to create characters, so I had to sort of get inside of them from the inside out. And what did it feel like to be inside? So that's always been sort of my default approach to the world, is like, okay, how does this person operate? And even a lot of acting theory, some actors create from the outside in and some create from the inside out.
The inside out, yeah.
Right.
I talk about that a lot in my coaching, because there's very much like, yeah, because you can change, your physiology, for example, and that'll totally change your internal experience, or you can do it the other way around. Right? In the real world, right? Not just like acting.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I've just always been fascinated by learning about yourself, because after a while I just became sort of exhausted and burnt out on playing other people. And it took me many years to try to figure out like, well, who am I and how can I play myself? Or, that's really the goal of the work of this life, is for us to play the greatest role that we came here to play, because we all really are here on a mission, and all the clues are given to us. We just have to cultivate them and harvest these clues, who we're supposed to be. And they're really everywhere in our internal world if we know how to look for them. So I really love to help people gain access to their inner life and processes and what's going on.
So can you share with us, like, so please keep going. I didn't know you had more.
No, so I love dream work. I love, my goal is for everybody to really create their own dream dictionaries of inner symbols that work for them. And, it's like I worked in the entertainment industry, obviously for many years, but also in film production and in script development. And what's so beautiful, it's like everything is an entire world inside of a script. So all the things match and nothing's in there by mistake, because if it's, a suitcase is mentioned in the first scene, you're going to see that suitcase. It's going to be a piece of the story, right? Or you don't see it. So same thing in our lives. Like if something's in your life, it's there to teach you. It's there as a prop or as a piece of set dressing, but it's for a reason. It's not for nothing. So we really have to pay attention to all this stuff in our lives and like what the reason is to really heal it, uplift it, get rid of it, change the story, dance with it, so like that.
So can you give us like if we could ground it into something practical, right? That we can do or that we can take into our lives of like either with this dream work or in looking at clues. Can you give us like an example or a practical tool that we can use in our day-to-day?
Okay, sure. So, for example, the concept of being the witness in your life, right? The observer. So I guess,
I know it, but maybe not everybody knows it. So you can go ahead and explain it.
Okay. So in really like in writing memoir, there's always two narrators. There's the you that lived it, and then there's the older, wiser narrator who has the wider view and can write about it.
Is that kind of like the mirror, in the the security camera mirror that can sort of see the big picture?
Oh, nice. I like that. Yes, absolutely. It's the viewer. So you're writing your life from a new perspective. So there's always going to be two versions, and you get to tell the older, wiser narrator's version of the events that happened a while ago or that you want to happen. So practically speaking, when you can do that, you can tell a different story, or you can narrate it with meaning, because all of our lives have themes. And the more conscious we become about the themes in our life, then they don't have to run us in the background by default. We can actually harness them and change them. So
can you give me an example of that?
Yeah. So really, when we live unconsciously, we're living in our blind spots, right? So we say we want one thing and then we do something else. And then we don't know why our life shows up that way. Like, exercise, relationships, career. But like, what are we doing? We're not doing the thing that we say that we want to do. So it's because we're living in our blind spot, but we don't even know that that's a blind spot. So it's becoming conscious to like, so I'll give you an example. Somebody once told me, a client that she led a really uninteresting life, like nothing really happened, non-eventful. But then she had a bunch of medical situations happen. And I said, would you just write me a short medical autobiography of your life from, when you were born to now, when she was in her mid-20s. It turns out she had like 1 to 3 major medical issues happen every year of her life.
That's a lot. Time.
But to her, that's like nothing was happening. She had the medical stuff going on, but like, it wasn't like, she didn't move. She didn't have like, it wasn't part of her story because it's just what she had to go through. Not like, I mean, I'm not saying like they were all major, but like medically, like things were going on, but that was not, because she had so many other things happening, but this was
like, so she was like running like a whole, she was creating enough material to fuel many episodes of ER, but wasn't paying attention to the fact that like, right, she was, that there's a lot of drama going on there.
Right. But that wasn't part of her conscious, like that wasn't her story. She had all these other problems that she thought were her life wasn't moving forward. And, for these reasons, and she was trying to achieve this and this and this, and these medical things were just happening. It wasn't part of the story. Come on, it's not the story. That's just what I went through. Like, it's, you know what I mean? We don't, and even, you know, there's like examples where people will say things to you and you're like, what are they talking about? That's not me. But then you realize that, oh, that is me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I went through that. It's not a big deal to me.
So she's not including all these medical things in her story. And then what happens? Like, what shifts?
Well, once she saw her story and she saw like how much she did go through medically, she had a whole new like awareness and compassion on her journey. Her journey radically changed for her because she's like, whoa, I really had to take care of myself, and other people were not making a big deal of it, but it really was a big deal. So she was able to realize that her health was just running, like, it was an unconscious piece of her story that she had to really attend to differently than she was. So,
and that she was actually like overcoming so much, but not giving credit to all of her like strength and courage and presence in the middle of all of that stuff. Is that part of it?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we go through so much and we don't really even give ourselves credit for a lot of it because we're just trying to either move past it, push it aside, not make it a big deal, you know, be tough for many reasons. And we don't let our emotional life like express itself because it's always trying to talk to us. The body is always trying to communicate. And, you know, there's a beautiful idea that the body is actually the unconscious. So whatever is going on in the body is really important.
Yeah, it's how the unconscious talks to us. That's what I say to people all the time. Like, we have so many nerve endings in our stomach, and we produce more serotonin in our stomach than we do in our brain. There's so much communication happening here, like getting people down into just listening. It's huge.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I understand you have this journaling program. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm starting, it's a women's life writing group, and it's going to be on Monday and Tuesdays. And it's really small, intimate groups, 6 women each, to journal their life stories and to really sort of allow the material to come up and play with it and be the witness to their stories. And I also include a lot of somatic tools because soothing our nervous systems is so important as part of this work, because a lot of stuff comes up emotionally, and it's important to soothe as you look at it, so you can look at it, you know, calmly.
Okay, so translate this term somatic for us. Explain to us what that is.
Somatic is really mind and body, the body connections. Tools are tools that, like, you know, there's for example, the acupuncture points. The heart meridian is under the armpits. So if you put your finger and press right to the middle of your armpits and hold yourself.
Wait. Show like I go like that.
It's like a good grounding.
Just like sticking my
right
finger like that.
The armpit is heart 1. That's, yeah.
So
well, it's just like in that little hole, the little, feel that.
So it's basically there? just get my hands really stinky.
So if you
just
right. Not when you're doing a live interview, you know, but when you're relaxed, it's actually kind of relaxing, and you can just, you know, but any kind of like holding of your body, like, you know, when you hold your heart or you hold your stomach when you're breathing, it actually just feels good to like ground yourself, because the body needs reassurance, and the body's like, yeah, it's okay. We're here. I love you. It's good. Nothing to worry about, you know. So
just to do that. So how is it that our hands are able to do that? What is it about our
Well,
hands that we're able to like?
Hands are actually very healing. Not only the nerve endings, but spiritually, the hand is actually an extension of the heart. So all the heart energy comes through the hands, which is why they're able to heat up and to do healing. Like, you know, the story about Batya extending her hand to save Moshe
To
in the
save
river.
Moses from the, in the little, what's it called? The little
That,
basket in the river. Okay.
yeah, when she extended her hand to reach for him, it was actually her heart, her arm grew because it was part of her heart. It was like, it's the extension of our hearts. So they're, you know, that's why holding hands matters. And that's why, like, it's so powerful. Touch is so connecting because it's our heart right there.
But right now we're not like allowed to touch other people. So that's kind of crazy. Like, how do we hold that?
I know that's why the heart energy is so strong, because it's yearning. It's like, it's really, you know, it's wanting to connect. And I think the hands can, like, you know, we have to use our own hands to self-soothe and reassure ourselves, because
Wow.
it's hard.
Because we're always, it's interesting because I think about one of the things that comes up so much is that people want other people to respect them, and they want other people to love them and other people to pay attention to them. And they often don't honor how capable they are of doing that for themselves. So it's like, I want someone else to touch me, but really, like, I could do this. And I somehow tell myself the story that doesn't cut it. But actually doing this feels really good. Like, it feels really good to like do this. I just feel kind of stupid doing it, but it feels good.
I know it does. It's actually really nice. Like, you know, just loving on yourself is really special. And you can just, you know, also like give yourself little kisses and pat yourself. It's comforting. You know, the body really needs comforting, and the body is actually also listening to us. It wants to be spoken to nicely, and it responds. So, you know, if you ever know anybody who's had any kind of like surgery or something, really, really talk gently to that body part that just had treatment or surgery, because it wants to heal, and it wants to know that you're attending it. You know, the body needs attending.
So it's interesting because you're talking about the body as though it's almost like a separate being, like the way you would talk about treating a child. And most people think that like, I am my body, not like, oh, I need to treat my body. So this is like, can you kind of explain this a little bit more?
Well, that's so interesting you say that, because to me, it's like they are separate. I mean, that's the witness, that's the watcher. You are your body, and you're also separate from your body. We're both. We're the radio and the transmission. So we're always observing the older, wiser narrator, and we're also the one experiencing it. And I think that's where we get caught up. When we get so emotional, we forget that we can be separate too. Like, it's so real because it's all, we forget we
Enmeshed.
over-identify, enmeshed with our body, our emotions, our state of mind, our reality. We think it's us. It's real. It's just us. But it's not. We're so many things. We're not just our mind. We're not just our body. We're not just our thoughts. We're not just our perceptions. We're so many things. We exist in this huge field beyond ourselves, also as spiritual beings. And this is our body we're given. So that's a paradox for sure.
Yeah, that is a paradox. So it's like really okay to talk to our bodies in this. I find myself doing that. Like, I find myself talking to myself in this parental way. Like I talk about, sort of parenting yourself, having this parental voice that you have towards yourself. And you very much sound like that. So it's kind of like cool to hear an outsider say this, because it feels true. But at the same time, there's something kind of funny about talking to a body part and soothing it, even though really, like, it's me, it's like such a paradox. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks
So,
for that validation. You're right. It can feel strange, but it works.
so you said you're going to be having this journaling workshop. Can you give us like more details, exactly times and dates and places and what's going on? And then people can contact you about that on Instagram and also on email, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Through my email or through DMing me on Instagram. So it's basically an hour and a half, small groups. We're going to just go over through writing prompts and structured exercises, and you'll be able to write. People will have 2 pieces a week about their lives, because it's really like a puzzle. You're putting the pieces of your life together, and it's all going to make sense in a really profound and beautiful way once you start to connect the dots and see the themes that emerge and what's going on. So yeah, it's Mondays and Tuesdays, 10 a.m. to 11:30, which is 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Israel time.
So this is 10 a.m. California time?
California time. Yeah.
California time. Okay, amazing. And it's going for how long again?
It's month to month. So I'm holding the space on those 2 days for this group. So
so it's either Mondays or Tuesdays.
Either Mondays or Tuesdays. Yeah. I really like to build community. So it depends on who comes. I want to create groups that are very coherent, and, so we'll see. I'm going to see which, and it's also based on who can come at what time. So it's my grand experiment, because I really love this work and I want to build it out. And this is, these are the first steps in doing that. I've taught memoir before, and I was teaching writing to gap year students, and I love writing because it's very just cathartic and it's healing. It helps you tap into the unconscious world that's really so present and we don't even know it.
I just read this year a memoir that really helped me deeply understand how healing the process of memoir is. I want to say Dani Shapiro, is that right?
Oh,
I think her name is.
Wow. Yes. She's written.
And yes. And it's so clear that this is how she's trying to understand her life. This is how she's trying to process life and everything.
Right. It's so true, because people think you have to know what you're going to write about. No, the writing is the discovery. Like, you learn who you are through the actual process of writing it, and that's where the discovery comes, which is so cool. Which one did you read? Which book of hers?
The one where she found out that she's not her father's daughter. So she did one of those genetic tests, 23andMe or something like that, and found out that some random man on the other side of the country was actually her father. And it suddenly explains why in this very Ashkenazi, New York home, she had this blonde hair and blue eyes and was not a non-Jewish man ended up being her father, and what all of that meant, and her very deep connection to her extended family and her past. And it's she had to redefine herself. But there was a part of me that kind of stood. There was me reading, but then there's me as an author standing back and watching her writing process and seeing how it's almost like she's weaving a tapestry of her life and trying to make sense of everything. And as she's weaving the story together to make it an interesting story for the reader, she's simultaneously trying to come to peace with all of the aspects of her life also. It was just, there's something really beautiful about it.
Yeah, I really have to read that one. Yeah, thank you. No, it's great. It's an amazing discovery process. Yeah. I love memoir. And this is life writing is very close to it. But there's no pressure to, have to put a whole piece.
So we don't have to be good at writing in order to do it. We just do it.
No, you just have to be a human being and want to learn more about yourself and enjoy the process of
very cool
going there.
Wow. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for telling us more and telling us a bit more about your story and about your process. And I wish you so much luck with these journaling groups. And curious to hear more about them and to hear updates about how it goes, and to having you come back to your homeland here in the land of Israel.
Oh, amen, amen. Thank you so much. Soon in the right time, please God.
Amen. Thank you so much. Take care.
Wonderful to talk to you. Okay, bye.